Hello.
Good morning, everyone. Well, good afternoon, everyone. How's everybody doing?
It's rainy and very Florida outside. All right. Hey, welcome everybody to Tuesdays with Audra, the live stream show where we sit down and have a chat with individuals and business owners to get a really unscripted look at what they're doing in the day-to-day to move themselves and their businesses forward. As always, I have Chrissy on hand. She's going to be in the background making sure that we bring up websites, get your questions answered and all that stuff. She's amazing. So if you're looking for live stream, she's the lady to go to. Thank you so much, Chrissy. Yay! I am so excited. Today we have Jason Frimmel with us. He is opening up our brand new World of Beer. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to dive in and share your story with everybody. Give us a background of yourself and kind of why you started this new venture.
Gotcha. Absolutely. So my background is all in hospitality and restaurants. So I've worked at several different concepts in Tallahassee. So Subway, Chipotle, Blaze Pizza, Brass Tap for about 2.5 years was probably my most relevant experience to this. And also most recently was the general manager at the Red Robin here in town. So hospitality and restaurants, they've always been my passion. I truly enjoy serving others and providing just awesome environments for people to thrive in. The World of Beer is a very powerful concept in my personal and professional opinion. And there are many concepts that at the beginning of the process that were vetted out, and World of Beer was the one that prevailed among all of those. The franchisor, so this is a locally owned and operated business, and the franchisor, World of Beer Corporate, they were very easy to work with. They're very supportive, and one of the great aspects of it too is that they showed a lot of flexibility in their operation and allowing us to put the top off swing suites into it as well. So we were able to expand upon the World of Beer concept and just make it that much better.
I am actually familiar with World of Beer, I lived in Tampa for a good 10 years in the Clearwater area and whatnot. I think that's where their founding locations are, right?
Yes, the original West Chase location was opened up in 2007.
Great concept, and I know that there's a very thriving beer and craft beer community here in Tallahassee. So being able to highlight that under a really great brand is important, and you get like hundreds of them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got 45 tap lines. 4 of those are going to be nitro beers, and we're really looking forward to being able to support our local breweries as much as we possibly can. There will be a happy hour menu that'll be revealed soon, and you'll see some of those local options featured on there. There's also going to be 250 options for beers and bottles and cans in our coolers, along with over 100 options for liquor, and then about 15 options for wine.
That's a whole lot of beer and wine. Crystal Vincent says, hi guys. Hi, Crystal.
Hey, Crystal.
Thanks so much for joining us. Yeah. So I want to go back kind of to a point that you said locally owned and operated. I think that we forget as a community that even though you are a franchisee, those owners live here. And so they're definitely part of the chain that we need to support and love on moving forward. So that's really excited. So walk us through the process, because obviously I've never tried to franchise anything. When did you decide that this was something that you wanted to do, and how did that process look? Because there's a lot of business owners that are either struggling or considering starting businesses and think, oh my God, now is not the right time. So walk us through that process.
Absolutely. So the beginning of this idea started in March of 2019. And then, of course, things just escalated from there. There were a lot of hurdles we had to go through with site selection. Selecting the franchisor, of course, that was the one where we were vetting out multiple concepts. And then all of the processes with getting the loan funded, those also prevailed to be some very challenging tasks. When coronavirus came about, that made it even more difficult to continue to proceed. So a process that maybe would have been 6 to 9 months to get the site selection, franchise agreement signed, the loan funded. To ended up taking about 15 months. Coronavirus was definitely our last giant hurdle we had to go through. But throughout the process, I mean, it was very, very difficult. And many lenders, lots of discussions. I
mean, when you try to approach any bank, even in good times, they're like, yeah, no,
right.
You don't have a proven record here. This business hasn't been in business. And you're like, I got this great idea. They're like, no, we're not giving you money. So at the best of times, it's annoying.
Exactly. And restaurants, this is a brand new company. This is our first unit of, hopefully we'll be able to have many, but they consider us as a startup restaurant. Although there is an established brand for a world of beer, they don't consider us under that umbrella. So that was tough to get a loan funded as a startup restaurant. And then the construction process too. Huge shout out to Oliver Sperry Renovations. They have done a fantastic job. And one of my partners, Sean Gibbons, he has done an incredible job managing the day-to-day construction aspects while I was in Tampa training with the other managers. So Sean has done a very, very good job making sure that everything has stayed on schedule, along with our folks over at Oliver Sperry Renovations.
Yeah. And shout out back to Marty for saying, way to go, Jason. That's awesome. On your new world of beer. Yeah. And you were working, right? Because you also still have to support yourself. So during, 90% of this process, you still had a full-time job while trying to negotiate all of these things and contractors and funding and all of that stuff. So,
very, very involved. There was no free time, that's for sure.
No. And I think that a lot of business owners get swamped and overwhelmed and exhausted in the everything of running a business. And shout out to them. You're not alone. All of us do this. So, well, I'm really excited about it. And so let's talk a little bit about, because we kind of covered perseverance. What has really helped you get where you are, and what advice would you have for others that kind of want to set off in this direction?
Let's see. So to get to where I am, I've been fortunate enough to have been surrounded by some amazing people, tons of leaders in multiple different concepts that I've worked at that have developed me into the leader that I am today. And that those learnings will continue to develop me throughout the rest of my career into the leader that I'll become. The advice that I would give for anybody that wants to go down this venture is never give up. There were so many times where it would have been so easy to just end it and say, there's been enough rejection, there's been enough adversity, and it's just going to make more sense to throw in the towel and not proceed. I'm absolutely thrilled that I never gave up, and I know for a fact that if more adversity would have came about, I would have continued along this path, and there was no way that the deal would not get done. Because I know, and I now know how it feels to be on this side of the fence and actually be able to tell people, hey, we've got this really cool project coming to Tallahassee, and I was able to kind of put it out in little morsels. But it's probably the greatest feeling in the world to just, this has been a lifelong dream of mine. When I was in high school, I tried to purchase an existing Subway. It was a very short, quick conversation with the bank, and I left very quickly, but it was an attempt. So that was the first of multiple attempts of me trying to start a business. And I think that a lot of my inspiration has come from a lot of the rejection that I've had in the past. I think a lot of the other common theme that comes down to it is the fact that I'm just so thankful for everything that this actually became reality. Because it could have gone, it could have gone a different direction, or I could still be trying to get the loan funded, but everything worked out very, very well. And we proceed forward. So now we're just under 3 weeks out from opening.
That's so exciting. I'm so excited for you. One of the things that you mentioned just now is the people that you surround yourself with. And I'm a big advocate for being selective on who you bring into your circle, right? Whether it be who you listen to and the guidance that you take from others, but also who you choose to be your partners, because partnerships are a very delicate thing. I mean, you are married to, basically financially married to these people for the duration of however long you're in business together. So talk to me about, the people that you take advice from and the people you surround yourself with, and the partners that you now have, and what really kind of brought you guys together. Did you find strengths or weaknesses or commonalities?
Yeah, absolutely. So that was one of the bigger things at the beginning, was definitely developing the partnership and finding people that shared a similar or exact version of what the vision that I have is, in order to make sure that we are going to always be on the same page, or at least on the same page from the get-go. And then, that is definitely to have multiple units. So it was definitely finding a partnership group that we could proceed with the intent to have more locations as the next couple of years come about. Obviously, it's developing a partnership, and the advice that people typically give on partnerships is avoid it at all costs. But I'm very thrilled with the partnership group that I do have, and I look forward to developing more locations with my group. And it's for us, we do have a unique dynamic. We've got folks in all kind of different arenas, so we have the ability to kind of just pull from different experiences, and I think that that's kind of what makes our partnership group quite strong. I mean, let's see, what else can I touch on?
I to a degree agree with you in regards to, people always say, avoid partnerships at all costs, right? But I think that there's a significant caveat there. We're not supposed to do everything, right? And we're not capable of doing everything, and we don't have the capability to do everything. And so I think identifying partners that complement your skill set helps. I think that making sure that there's always an open line of communication with your partners, like, you have to talk about everything. And I know that it sounds tedious to some people, like, I don't have time to just like tell you everything that I'm doing, but how are they supposed to be able to do what they're supposed to do if they're not knowledgeable in the things that you're doing? So communication is always really great. And I think that sometimes that's where all kinds of partnerships, whether they be relationships, business, financial, whatever, fall apart, is when that communication ceases to be there. So
absolutely. I really agree with that in many aspects. And I think that it's also, to build upon that statement you just made, is that as the partnership grows, we learn more. And as we do, the next unit is going to be way easier than this one. My goodness, there were so many questions, issues, so on and so forth that arose that had to be addressed. A lot of those will be avoided on the next unit, and so on and so forth. And then we're going to get really good at it.
Right. And stay in your lane. Like, if this is your job function and they have this job function, don't try to start doing and I'm not saying you, but a lot of partners do that. They're like, they start picking into somebody else's lane, and you're like, no, that's my lane, and I'm not going to get in your lane, and let's, kind of communicate. It's when we try to overdo it. So do you guys have a good division of duties, as far as, this person does this thing and this person is in charge of this thing? Does that help you guys stay organized?
It does, yes. And we do have the division of duties. It's pretty much right now, I'm running everything that's operational. And now that I'm back in town, I'm also back into the loop with all the construction management stuff. But Sean Gibbons has been running the construction management for the past couple months, and done an excellent job as a partner on that front. And I'm so glad that I'm back now, just to be able to help out with that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for right now, I mean, it's very simplistic. I think we're far enough down the road now where it's not that things would just run themselves. It's just all the issues. We've already tackled all the issues.
It's becoming routine.
Exactly. So now it's more of the work that does fall on my shoulders as the operating principal, to make sure that we're working on getting staff hired, and working on, making sure all of our licenses are in order, making sure our initial food delivery and alcohol delivery, getting all that stuff kind of squared away so that it's just a seamless opening. We have our orientation on the calendar. We've got our initial hourly training on the calendar, and a couple soft opening events coming up. And it's just kind of making sure there's a to-do list that's just a mile long, and just making sure that each day I revisit it. And then of course I'm going to add stuff to it. So I don't think the to-do list will ever end. But for that, I mean, I kind of like it that way. I love to have a lot of things to do.
Well, and that's kind of the heart of an entrepreneur, right? Is we're problem solvers. And so we like to, and we compartmentalize, this is for this thing and this is for this thing and all of that. So that's really exciting. So have you had to do really anything in the background? I understand, COVID is a thing and it was an issue getting things off the ground, but are you having to kind of modify what would be your standard operating day because of COVID, and how have you kind of overcome that?
Absolutely. So there's been many modifications made, and we've done I've spent a lot of time looking at several concepts and what they're doing and what their best practices are for ensuring that we can keep our employees and customers safe. So even right now with our interviews, we're interviewing at the hotel right across the street from Mortal Beer. We got hand sanitizer stations set up. We've got Lysol spray. We spray the chairs in between each interview. And because that's something that's very important to us. I want to keep my team safe, and I want to keep our interviewees safe. And the same practice will carry on once we're open. We're going to have hand sanitizer stations everywhere. I ordered special wipes for the golf clubs in between each use. And we're going to have an outline of what our practices are, so that our guests can be informed on what measures are we taking, and our team will be informed on what measures we are, this is what we're doing. So that way everybody knows that it's absolutely, it's paramount that we adhere to all the guidance that's been provided to us. And we have to create a safe environment. And I've got some internal programs too that I'm going to try to implement to ensure that, obviously while our employees are in the building, we can kind of control what they do and how they respond to situations and whatnot. But I want to create almost like a bounty program. So however long the staff can go and ensuring that nobody tests positive for coronavirus, that I give out rewards. So that way it's more like an incentive for them to have safe practices when they're not at work. Still working on the details of how that's going to work fluidly, but
right. It's really interesting because you're, Katie Brock, so exciting for our community. I agree, Katie. I'm excited and I can't wait for them to open. It's really interesting to me because you're the first business owner that's opening with no prior, there was not a previous normal. Your business is opening in this environment. And so the standard is set without any kind of, you know what I mean? Does that make any sense? Right. Your business doesn't know any different except for post-corona or in corona. So it's really interesting you're creating your standard operating procedures in the environment as opposed to having to change them. And that's kind of interesting for me as a business coach, like how you go ahead and set that mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that one of the easiest, I think we have it kind of easy, to be honest. For our orientation, we're going to set the tone from day one and share with all the practices with the entire team. We've got them all in one room. They can ask any questions that they need answered, and we can answer it for them. But I think that, like you said, being a new business and not having gone through where we were our old normal into our new normal, everybody's
normal.
Yeah, everybody is very much, I believe, adjusted at this point to wearing the masks and using hand sanitizer and so on and so forth. So I think that it's going to come I think it's going to come with ease in order to coach the staff on what all of our practices are. And then myself and the management team, we're just going to make sure that, it's our duty to make sure that everybody's being, practicing safe practices, just because, I don't want to have one person get sick. There's no reason why that should happen.
Yeah.
There's the amount of money that's worth or anything. No way.
It looks like Marty has a question for us. Chrissy, if you'll pop that one up on the screen.
Let's see. Other than COVID, what's been the greatest surprise challenge for you in the process? Probably, let's say, self-demolition was a lot tougher than I thought it would be.
Did you have to wield a sledgehammer?
Yes. I actually, I feel like I temporarily had carpal tunnel. All the symptoms on WebMD matched up, but I couldn't feel my fingertips for either of my hands for a couple days. But yeah, self-demolition, that was real fun.
Great question, Marty. So, okay, did you have to, a couple of other questions. I know that there was some restrictions on pure bars opening. Did you have to make any kind of adjustments to your restaurant output to compensate, to make sure that you had the appropriate amount of food service, or was that never a problem?
It was never a problem because we're a restaurant. So we do have the full kitchen too. And I think that's something that's important to highlight. So we've got burgers, wings, tacos, ribs, steaks, salads. We've got also the giant German pretzels. We've got mac and cheese bites. So we've got a full kitchen. So the food aspect is definitely going to be there for us. And of course, you know, all the regulations with our capacity and whatnot, we will, of course, adhere to.
And I'm really excited to, and I've kind of been waiting to the end. So tell us about Topgolf, why that came to mind, how you made the agreement with them, all of that stuff, and what it is as far as customer experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Topgolf idea just came through a bunch of research that was done, and it was pitched to. We brought it up to two different concepts when we were deciding between World of Beer and one other, and ultimately went with World of Beer because of the people, and we believed in the brand a lot more. So the Topgolf just came through a bunch of research, and we were able to implement that into World of Beer. We got the approval and the sign off on that, and then there's a couple different options that Topgolf does for the swing suites. You can either lease them or purchase them, and yeah, as far as that, so it's kind of a unique offering that we're able to present to Tallahassee. A traditional Topgolf has to have 1 million people within a 20-minute drive, and obviously we're nowhere near that. So this is pretty much. I think there's a negative connotation of saying this is the next best thing, but this is. I think it's a very attractive offering. So it's going to be. I think it's going to be pretty cool. I think people are going to be very receptive to it. I think they're going to enjoy it. So we do have two of the swing suites. They hit away from each other. In between the two, there's a congregation area that, of course, with COVID in the mix, that might be shut down at the beginning. But each suite will still be open because they are separated from each other. And of course, we won't have more than 10 people in there. And but in normal times, or whatever we call it, there will be a congregation in between, and I think we could fit about 40 to 50 people in between the two suites and the adjoining tables. So yeah, I think that's kind of the extra component that we're able to hit with the food, the beverage, and now we can capitalize on the entertainment aspect of it.
So is it basically a big screen? And Crystal Vincent says I'm waiting on the dessert menu.
So we got Nutella churro donuts, and we've got the salted caramel cookie skillet.
So good. That's amazing. So for Topgolf, it's basically a big screen, right? A virtual screen of a green or whatever. You can tell that I'm not a golfer. But I'm looking forward to this because I like to try. I just don't like to embarrass myself and hold other people up, that playing golf on an actual golf course. So you get to, it's basically like having a big golf course in front of you, but it's all virtual, right?
Exactly. And the technology that Topgolf has provided us with is incredible. The screen, as soon as you hit the ball into the projector screen, it absorbs it immediately. It's very fluid. And the really cool thing is that there's the normal Topgolf games. There's several of those. There's also a couple other options. There's a zombie dodgeball. There's a carnival game. There's a baseball pitching game, football. You can even play a round of golf on there in 18 holes in 45 minutes. And
wow.
I believe there's 96 preloaded courses.
Wow. That's because you don't have to go and try to search for your ball in the rough, right?
Exactly.
It magically appears.
Exactly.
So what are you, I know aside from opening, what are you really looking forward to most when the doors open?
I am looking forward to most the ability to be able to provide opportunities for our local, our Tallahassee community members. We're able to have 2 managers that are already hired, and we're going to be hiring about 55 people. So I'm more so, obviously I'm excited about the business opening and whatnot, but I'm just absolutely thrilled that I'm in a position where I'm able to provide opportunity for 55 to 60 people, especially in a time where many of these people need it most. Obviously right now is not an easy time to get a job. So I'm super thankful that all these opportunities have come my way, and that I'm able to, in turn, kind of give some opportunities out to some other folks.
That's so awesome. You're a man after my own heart. Being from the hospitality industry myself, you know, the concept of servant's heart is real and rare. And I'm glad to know you, and I'm excited for your business opening. So do you want to share with us like the location, your opening date, all kinds of things like that, so that people can come and find you when you open your doors?
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, the schedule is not 100% concrete yet, but relatively our 27th of September. There will be October 5th is our slated opening date. So
October 5th.
Yes. So October 5th through October 11th is our grand opening week, where we're planning to have a ton of specials and events throughout that week. I'm working on booking some live music and a couple other little special things, so that the community can come in and enjoy a beer and some food and whatever they really want. It should all be there.
Crystal says I can see Bill Fredericks and Joel Hagen's in line now.
Oh yeah. They've been waiting there for days.
Exactly. They're in a camper, you know, sitting out back. Are you done yet? Do you have beer yet? And what's your location?
So we are located right across the street from Miller's Ale House. This is the old Genghis Grill building. So right there between Miller's Ale House and Chewy's, where Chewy's used to be, right there off of Appalachia Parkway. So we have a freestanding building, 125 parking spaces, about 300 people will be about our occupancy if you include the outside area as well. There's a pretty substantial patio area.
Awesome. And how do we keep in touch and keep track of what you guys are doing? Are you on Facebook? Do you have a website? Anything like that? Instagram?
So Facebook and Instagram are probably the 2 best methods for right now for people to stay up to date with everything that's going on. We're going to be posting some more pictures and a sneak peek at some food items and drinks over the next couple weeks as we get closer to opening. But Facebook and Instagram are definitely the best 2 to go ahead and like the page so everybody can stay in the know. Is
that World of Beer Tallahassee, or what's the?
Yes, it's WOB WOB Tallahassee for both Facebook and Instagram.
That's exciting. I'm so excited. We will certainly keep all of you up to date and share and like their pages, and keep track of all the cool things that are coming in the next few weeks. Katie asked, will you be taking reservations first week?
No reservations for the first week.
Just show up.
Just show up.
Awesome. Okay, so random question at the end of the interview, because I know that you haven't had one in a while. What will be your first vacation?
Oh my. I would say, I really want to go to Asheville, North Carolina, and go and explore some of the breweries up there. So I think that would probably be the first stop.
The love of beer never ends. Thank you so much, Jason, for coming on and sharing all of the great news for World of Beer with us. And you guys don't forget to find them and follow them. Keep up to date. Crystal Vincent wants to know if BNI gets a preview party.
Yes, on a Wednesday morning at 7:30.
Golf and beer, 7:30 in the morning.
Yes.
You know our group all too well. All right. Thank you so much, Jason, for being with us. And for you guys, don't forget to tune in next week for Tuesdays with Audra, where we have another professional on board to share their story with us. And, you know, hit me up and let's go to World of Beer once they open. It's great to see you guys, and good to see you too, Jason. Thank you so much, Christy, for being in the background. And until next time. keep learning, keep leading. See you next Tuesday.